To the US now, where the country's House of Representatives remains paralysed after its Republican leader Kevin McCarthy failed for a sixth time to secure enough support to become Speaker. A small group of anti-establishment hardliners derailed his attempts for a second day despite a plea for unity from the former President Donald Trump. Without a Speaker, the chamber is unable to swear in members, fill vital committee roles or adopt rules for passing legislation. For more on this, the CBS correspondent Jared Hill spoke to me earlier from New York.
This is the third day of trying to elect a Speaker of the House, and we are expecting, at least at this point, a lot of the same. So there's going to be a seventh vote that is expected to happen today. And based on some of the reporting coming from our teams on Capitol Hill, it doesn't look like there was significant movement last night, despite some of those late night meetings and negotiations trying to happen between Kevin McCarthy and the group of Republicans that are currently opposing him. He just doesn't have the votes at this point and potentially could fail in another bid potentially happening later on today.
And just explain what it is that those group of hardliners don't like about him. Why do they want somebody different?
So there are a couple of things that they say are going on here. On one hand, there are some of these more personal issues that they say they have with Kevin McCarthy, making an argument that he is not conservative enough, making an argument that he's not ideologically dug in enough in any sort of belief system, saying essentially that he's a, quote, vessel through which lobbyists and special interests operate. But then there's also the argument that they're making that they want a number of concessions on just how Congress and how the House of Representatives functions. One of the big ones here is they want just one member to be able to bring up an objection to whoever the Speaker is to potentially oust that individual if they believe that the Speaker is not doing what they want to do. Kevin McCarthy has said, 5 members can bring this up instead, but they're saying that that's just not enough, and they want to be able to have more of a check and balance over who is leading that chamber of Congress.
And in the meantime, the House of Representatives is paralysed, isn't it? What
Yes.
can't they do now without the Speaker in place?
They can't do anything. I mean, really, at this point, all they can do is go into the building and try and vote for the Speaker of the House. This means that there are no, as you mentioned, committees that are being formed. There are no investigations, which Republicans say they really want to do into a number of members of President Biden's cabinet, as well as some members of his family. No legislation can get passed at this point without a Speaker. In fact, there aren't really any members of a current Congress because the Speaker is the one that would lead that process to really start happening. And so it's completely paralyzed at this point, and there are a number of Republicans who are getting more vocally frustrated with this stalemate because they say they can't do the work that they've been elected to do.
And what's being made of the fact that Kevin McCarthy is endorsed by former President Donald Trump?
Not much. I mean, it depends on who you kind of ask here. It's been interesting to see some of former President Trump's most ardent supporters in the House of Representatives say that the former president needs to tell Kevin McCarthy that he doesn't have the votes and they need to find someone else. It's going to be interesting, again, to see how all this plays long term in the power struggles that are going on between Democrats and Republicans and more specifically, some of the different factions of the Republican Party. Remember, you have former President Trump already putting his name in the hat for a run for president in 2024. A big question will be, does this show that he doesn't have the same stronghold over the party that he once did and that some believe that he still does?